Yo, what up gamers, I'm Dark and welcome to my 11.21 ADC tier list. We've got a few ADC changes on this patch, not too many, not too big impact, but we'll get into that right now. So we got well, start with an Auction Nerf. Not really much of an ADC, most people don't play him there. I had him in like high C tier I think, now I put him down to the bottom of C tier. Seems like a pretty decent nerf. It was mainly targeted at his mid lane, whereas it was already weak on bot lane, so kind of sucks for the Auction ADC players, but for the most of us, it won't really affect us. Aside from that, we got a Misfortune nerf, which makes a lot of sense. Misfortune has been dominating solo queue lately. She was at the top of my tier list in the previous patch. So we got a mana reduction on, her total mana, and also mana cost increase on her W. 15 extra mana on her W is actually pretty big. Especially if you're maxing W in Misfortune, which at the moment I think, or previously in the previous patch was actually the best thing for her. It just means you're using W a lot more than if you're not maxing W, and so, now that's just going to cost a lot more mana now, which is not great. So, even though the mana cost doesn't go up per level, still going to be a little bit of a hit to W max Misfortune. And just going to be a hit to like Misfortune in general. Even if she's not maxing it, she does use that quite a bit. Even without using much of that, she still definitely lost quite a bit of mana through her base mana nerf. This probably won't affect her too much if she goes here, because Mana Moon Misfortune has an excess of mana usually anyway. So it might push people into building Mana Moon more on her. Just Eclipse into Mana Moon with Comet. Might be more common on her, but either way, if that basically becomes the only option on her, it's not going to be as great as if she has more build variety and can just get to build Youmu's every game. So I had her at the top S tier. I still think she's going to be really good. I pushed her down a little bit further to the bottom, but still really good. Let's put some music on. Wait, was that already on? No, okay. Okay, let's see. Then we'll look at a Quinn Nerf. Doesn't really matter. Nobody plays Quinn bot. Jinx buff. Passive attack speed increased by 10%. That's when she gets a kill. So it's pretty niche. You have to already be winning to some extent in order for that nerf to have any effect. Buff to have any effect. So it's not going to be too big a deal. Although it's going to be nice when that happens. E range increased. So that's 25 range on her E. That actually matches perfectly the range buff that she got like a few patches ago. She got plus 25 range on her autos. So that's just to match her new range, which is pretty nice. So it's not too often that you'll actually get to use that properly, but potentially that can help you like chain your CC with your supports. If usually you wouldn't be able to get in range in time. So it could be pretty neat. Usually won't matter too much though. Our cooldown decreased though. I think this is pretty big. So it's 15 lower cooldown at rank 1. I think that's pretty decent. An ultimate cooldown like this, I think can definitely be a pretty big deal. And when you add all of these together, so you know what? I think I should have pushed her like slightly up, like just in front of Misfortune, but oh well. Either way, S tier. Also, another big factor with Jinx. Even with this buff, usually, like for most people, she would not be S tier. However, if you've watched my previous tier lists, you will see that I'm a big believer in the Jinx Stormers second build. You can see here it's got a really good win rate compared to everything else. You can do Fire Cannon third for some poke, or Infinity Edge third for some massive DPS. Either way, this build does a lot of damage, and not only that, but the slow from Stormrazor, you can combo it with your W and make it completely unmissable. And so you just have this neat little like massive poke combo, and if you build Fire Cannon, you can do that from even further away. So that's why I have her so high on my tier list. Most people, like if you're just doing Runa in second, she's not that amazing. She's just decent, and this buff will push her into being a little bit more decent. But for me, I think this build is really underrated, and I think she's really strong with that build. So that's why I already had her at S tier, and now she's gonna be a little bit further up in S tier. Yeah, aside from that. Okay, yeah, so we got this Xayah buff again. Frequent appearance here in the patch notes this year. Still keeps getting buff after buff after buff after buff, but it doesn't really seem to do much. I do think her last buff was pretty decent though. Her win rate actually increased quite a bit, but as you can see, I mean, she was still like so bad to begin with. Not too much of an impact, but anyway, here Base stats, movement speed increased by 5. So that doesn't seem like much, but every time a champion gets buffed by or nerfed by 5 movement speed, usually has about a 1% increase on their win rate. That would push Xayah into being pretty much almost 50%. On top of that, another thing you would know if you've seen all my previous tier lists is I believe Xayah has is much stronger with Hail of Blades than with any other rune. I actually saw a Reddit thread earlier where people were saying it's her best rune. So like the lethal tempo nerf from next season won't affect her. But I mean, most people just don't use it. I'm surprised that even those people were even saying that it's the best rune on her because, I mean, I agree, but that's not really well known, is it? But yeah, I think she's already okay with Hail of Blades. Maybe after this buff, could be decent even. Aside from that, that's not the only buff she got. She also got cooldown reduction on her Q per level. At rank 1, it's not gonna be any reduction at all. But it will be a pretty big reduction later levels. So usually this buff would kick in too late for this to really have much of an effect over anything. The main buff would be this. However, this buff also does have potential to actually push Qmax into being a thing. Either Qmax first or Qmax second. Either one could be okay. It's possible that this will make, bring Essence Reaver first item back into the fold for Xayah. You could do Qmax with Essence Reaver, and that would give you like a low cooldown proc on Essence Reaver. And all the mana to sustain all that Q spam. That would be pretty decent. Also, could also see Lethality Xayah starting to, make its appearance for the first time. She already has a pretty decent win rate with Eclipse, and I was playing around with Dustblade, and that felt pretty good too. So, yeah, it might, if she suddenly starts to have like Qmax being a viable option, then that would mean she starts playing around more around her abilities, and that might bring Lethality builds into the forefront. So that's something to watch out for. I'm definitely going to try it out, both Essence Reaver Rush and Lethality Rush with Qmax. We'll see how that goes, but this is all in like the unknown territory. I don't know if that'll be a thing or not, but it's a possibility. But the main thing is just this 5 movement speed, pretty decent buff. Should see hopefully about a 1% increase from that. I believe that's all the ADC changes for this patch. Yeah, there's also a random Teemo buff in there. I doubt that's really gonna affect bot lane. I doubt it would make him viable on support, or well, better on support. Much better anyway. I have played ADC Teemo in the past, not ADC, but like AP Teemo bot. I don't think really it's as good as mages though, and I don't think that Q buff is gonna change it. But if there's any ADC Teemo lovers out there, well, your pick did just become a little bit better. You can be happy about that. Aside from that, I did make I think 1 or 2 other changes. Let's see. I pushed Lucian then from bottom of A tier up to like more middle of A tier. Even though he's only really strong with Nami, and also, well, most people are only playing with Nami, but I think he's also decent with Sona. I think Yumi as well. I think I might be forgetting something else, but mainly the main ones are just Nami and Sona. Yeah, even though he's only good with those, he's just like taking so much priority in the meta all of a sudden. Every time I lane against Lucian and Nami, I'm just like so miserable. They have such a strong laning phase. They skill like a lot better than Lucian usually should. It's quite a decent pick at the moment. I don't think it's like quite S tier, but definitely deserved some more love on the tier list. I think the main thing holding it back is that it's literally just Lucian with Nami and maybe Sona. You know, it's just, I don't want to rank this ADC too highly if it's only good with one support, you know? All these ADCs are pretty good, like, no matter what you're picking them with, usually. If you're a lot more niche, like you are with Lucian, then... Okay. At your strongest, you might be S tier, but... Yeah, I don't want to rank him too highly. However, you do bear that in mind, the Lucian with Nami is really strong at the moment. If you get to pick that, super good. Let's see, I think I made one other change. Oh, so actually, I completely forgot to show what I did with Xayah here. So I think maybe I had Xayah at the bottom of B tier. Now I've got her like towards the top. I think that's pretty much the impact the 1% movement buff will have. However, if, like I said, if that Q buff does like change anything about her skilling order and bring like some new skilling order and some new build into the light that's a lot better than the previous meta, then that might push her into being A tier potentially. Or maybe even bottom of B tier, at least. but no guarantee about that. Yeah, I also pushed. I already mentioned this, didn't I? Pushed Auction to the bottom of C tier, so that's accounted for. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm actually wondering if I'm maybe prioritizing Senna too little. Got her on bottom of B tier. I've been playing her with lethality. She does seem decent. I haven't checked out his win rate though. What I do is Eclipse into Youmu's. Nah, doesn't seem to have a fantastic win rate. Yeah, she's back to being viable at least, but doesn't seem like an amazing pick at the moment. Still, if there's any Sun ADC players out there, you know, viable pick. You can come out again. It's safe. I thought they were gonna buffer at one point. I guess they changed their mind about that. That's a shame. I like ADC Senna, but anyway. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope you know what's good at the moment. Hope you have any ADCs that are currently towards the top of the tier list. That would be great. You know, meta abusing is one thing that can help for some people, but a lot of people, they're just really good at one champion and that's the one champion they want to play. So, I mean, for me, what would be optimal is if Twitch were all the way up here. That would be so good for me. However, not happening. At the moment, I'm having more success with Misfortune, with Ashe, Vayne, Aphelios. I'm a little bit sad about that, but oh well. Yep, anyway, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, gamers.